Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to take a moment to breathe, to center yourself, not just in body but in mind and spirit. Because what we are about to explore is not something you can touch, but something you can feel. It is something that moves silently with you, like a shadow in the light, or a ripple beneath the stillness of the water. Your aura. There is a reason why some people feel unsettled in your presence, why your silence can speak louder than their words, why your energy fills the room without you even trying. This is not arrogance, this is not pride, this is power, but not everyone is ready for it. So today, we walk together through 13 signs that your aura, your energy, your essence, is too powerful for most people to handle, and not to diminish yourself, but to understand, to recognize the strength within you, and to learn how to carry it, with peace, with balance, and with purpose. Have you ever walked into a room and noticed heads turn, not because of how you look, but because of something they can't quite explain? The air shifts, conversations pause for a second too long, and people become aware of something they can't name. That something is your presence. There are individuals whose energy introduces them before a single word leaves their mouth. It's not loud, it doesn't demand. It's simply asterisk is asterisk, a natural force, felt more than seen. This kind of presence is rare. It's magnetic, intense, and often misunderstood. And it is a clear sign that your aura is more powerful than most people are prepared to handle. You don't have to try. You don't need to dress a certain way or raise your voice to be heard. When your aura is strong, your energy resonates at a higher frequency, and that frequency creates an impact. People sense it instinctively. Some are drawn to it with admiration, others retreat with discomfort. Why? Because your presence acts like a mirror. It reflects what they are and what they are not. When you walk into a space, your groundedness makes others aware of their own chaos. Your calm makes them hear their own mental noise. And without even knowing it, your energy begins to stir something inside them. For those who are ready, this can feel like clarity. For those who are not, it can feel like confrontation. There's a sacred strength in stillness. Most people speak to be noticed, but you don't need to. You observe, you listen, you carry your energy with intention, and it is exactly that restraint, that control, that makes your presence so powerful. People can sense that you're not looking to prove anything. You have nothing to sell, nothing to chase. That unnerves those who depend on external validation to feel secure. You may have noticed that even in silence, people feel compelled to engage with you or explain themselves around you. That's because your presence disrupts the unconscious patterns they live by. Your awareness, your depth, your calm intensity. It silently challenges superficiality. It forces honesty even when no words are exchanged. And this is not something you choose to switch on or off. It is simply who you are. Whether in a meeting room, a crowded street, or a quiet cafe, your energy doesn't shrink. It holds space. It makes people feel. It makes them sense. And while some will call it intimidating, what they're really saying is, I feel seen in a way I'm not used to. Your presence doesn't compete, it just exists in fullness. That fullness becomes a weight in any environment. Not a heavy weight, but a grounding one. The kind of weight that reminds people they are alive, that there's more than surface-level living. And for those who are always trying to escape themselves, that reminder can be unsettling. You might have wondered why some people seem to react to you without cause, why they project, withdraw, or even try to bring you down. It's not about you. It's about what your energy awakens in them. Your presence asks a silent question, are you being real right now? And not everyone wants to answer that. There's a kind of solitude that comes with this level of presence. A quiet knowing that not everyone will resonate, and not everyone should. Because your energy isn't made to blend in. It's made to hold space, to shift energy, to awaken something deeper. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable some people become around you? People who, moments before, seemed perfectly at ease. Their posture changes, their words become guarded, and their eyes flicker with uncertainty. It's not because you've accused them of anything. It's not because you've said a single harsh word. It's because your presence does something their ego isn't prepared for. You make others question their masks. Most people go through life wearing layers, a layer to please society, a layer to impress their peers, a layer to hide their fears. These masks become their identity, their protection, their habit. But when someone with a powerful aura enters the room, those masks begin to feel heavy. Your authenticity, your rawness, your unwillingness to pretend. These qualities shine a silent spotlight on the performance others are putting on. They don't even realize what's happening at first. They just know they feel exposed. Their small talk begins to stumble. Their rehearsed confidence starts to falter. And underneath it all, something inside them whispers, asterisk, they can see you. Asterisk, that whisper grows louder in your presence, not because you're judging them, but because you are asterisk asterisk, not asterisk asterisk playing the same game. You see, when your aura is strong, you move differently. You don't seek approval. You don't inflate your value. You simply walk in your truth. And that truth unsettles those who rely on image over substance. Your energy doesn't flatter their facade, it bypasses it, it searches for what's real, and if there's nothing solid beneath the surface, people can feel that exposure like a spiritual spotlight. This is why your presence can feel disruptive without you saying a word. Because people can sense that you see beyond their words, beyond their smiles, beyond their social armor. They realize, often unconsciously, that with you there's nowhere to hide, and for someone who has lived behind layers for too long, that can feel like danger. It's not that you're trying to strip them bare, you don't have to. Your energy simply invites authenticity by its nature. It speaks a silent language that says, asterisk, show me who you really are, asterisk, and if they're not ready to meet that invitation, they'll either shrink, overcompensate, or flee. But rarely will they remain indifferent. You might have experienced people who were drawn to you initially, only to pull away once the connection started to feel too real. That's not a failure, that's resonance doing its work. Some people aren't running from you. They're running from the parts of themselves they've been avoiding. You didn't do anything wrong. You simply reminded them of what they've buried. The deeper truth is that many people are not used to being truly seen. They're used to being observed, judged, categorized, but not asterisk seen. Asterisk to be seen requires vulnerability, and when someone with a powerful aura like yours walks into their life, that vulnerability is gently demanded without a single word. You are the question they can't answer with a mask. Your presence is not passive, it penetrates, it reveals, and for those who have built their lives on surface-level living, that kind of presence can feel like a storm. Not because you bring chaos, but because you dissolve illusion, and illusion does not go quietly. You become the mirror they didn't ask for, not the flattering one that softens reality, but the honest one that shows the cracks. And once someone sees the cracks, they can no longer unsee them. They have to choose, face the truth or run from it. And many choose the latter, because truth is heavy for those who have only carried lies. There's a reason people misinterpret your silence. They assume it means shyness, indifference, maybe even weakness, but they don't understand. They don't realize that in your stillness there's power, and undeniable, unsettling, and unshakable. Because when your aura is strong, silence is not your absence, it's your presence. In a world obsessed with noise, being quiet becomes a statement. Most people speak out of fear, fear of being unseen, unheard, or forgotten. They talk to fill space, to ease discomfort, to convince others of who they want to be. But your silence doesn't come from lack, it comes from depth. It comes from a place within you that knows you don't need to prove anything. And that unnerves people more than anger or confrontation ever could. You sit in rooms and speak with your eyes, you observe, you absorb, and without lifting a finger, you shift the energy around you. Because when someone is silent, yet fully present, they are commanding. People begin to wonder what you're thinking. They project their own insecurities onto your quiet. They fear your silence is seeing right through them, and often it is. Your silence makes people pay attention. It creates tension, not because you create conflict, but because people aren't used to being held in that kind of awareness. It's easier for them when they can read someone's script, predict their rhythm. But you don't give them that comfort, you give them presence, you give them intensity without sound, and for many, that is more powerful than words ever could be. You've probably noticed how others start to fill in the gaps when you're quiet. They begin to talk more, to explain themselves more than necessary, to adjust their tone or justify their thoughts. Your silence isn't empty, it demands truth, it invites clarity, and in that space people start revealing parts of themselves they didn't even plan to share. The truth is, people are rarely silent when they're comfortable, but you are. You're comfortable in the pause, in the stillness, in the unknown. That emotional control, that inner peace, it's rare. And rare things attract attention, even if they confuse or unsettle others. Because your silence cannot be manipulated, it cannot be anticipated, and that threatens those who depend on predictable reactions to maintain control. You don't react, you respond, and often you don't even need to respond at all. Your silence becomes your answer. It becomes the boundary that says, I will not participate in this energy. It becomes the mirror that reflects someone else's noise back to them, and in that reflection, they start to realize how loud, chaotic, or insecure their own energy has become. This is why some people mistake your calm for coldness. They don't understand that you are protecting your peace, that your silence is a sanctuary, not a prison. You've learned that not everything requires your opinion, your emotion, or your explanation. That restraint is a form of mastery, and that mastery radiates through your aura more powerfully than any speech ever could. Your silence also creates space for others to feel themselves. Not everyone is ready for that. In your presence, people may confront parts of themselves they've long ignored, because without the distraction of small talk or performance, what's left is the truth. And for some, truth feels like exposure. Your stillness becomes a confrontation with their noise. You're not quiet because you have nothing to say. You're quiet because you know the value of energy. You measure your words like currency. You choose your moments with precision. And when you do speak, it lands, because it comes from a place of intention, not impulse. It comes from awareness, not ego. You ever wonder why trends don't excite you the way they seem to excite everyone else? Why what's popular feels shallow, temporary, almost hollow? While others chase the next big thing, you stand still, watching, observing, unmoved. Not because you're disconnected, but because you're tuned into something deeper. You are drawn to truth, not trends. When your aura is powerful, it's grounded in authenticity. You don't follow what's trending. You follow what's timeless, fads, movements, hype. They pass through you like wind against a mountain. You feel them, but they don't move you, because you understand something many don't. What's loud isn't always true, and what's true doesn't always need to be loud. There's an unspoken confidence that comes with being aligned with truth. You're not in a hurry to belong, you're not looking to fit in, you're not afraid of standing alone, and when people around you shift to match the latest opinion, behavior, or identity, you remain unchanged, not stubbornly but consciously. That resistance to influence, that refusal to abandon your inner compass for external approval, is part of what makes your energy so intense. You see beneath the surface. While others are distracted by aesthetics, status, and spectacle, your focus goes deeper. You ask questions others avoid, you seek meaning where others seek convenience, and that desire for truth often isolates you. People don't always understand you. They may label you as distant, difficult, or overly intense, but really they're reacting to the fact that you refuse to pretend. Trends offer comfort, they offer the illusion of certainty, community, even identity, but you know better. You know that identity built on imitation is fragile, that comfort rooted in conformity comes at the cost of self. And so, while others dress, speak, and think in ways that match what's current, you keep choosing what's real is, even if it's unpopular, even if it's uncomfortable. That choice doesn't just set you apart, it makes people question themselves. In your presence, their need to belong feels exposed, your clarity highlights their confusion, your groundedness amplifies their instability, and without you ever trying to challenge them, your very existence does. Because when someone refuses to follow the herd, those who've built their sense of self around the herd start to feel lost. You don't chase validation, that alone is rare. You don't adapt your values to match the moment. You question the moment itself, and when something feels off, even if everyone else is celebrating it, you step back. You trust your instincts more than the crowd. That kind of discernment is threatening to people who've built their lives on blending in. You're not here to mimic, you're here to embody. Truth for you is not an abstract concept, it's a vibration. You feel it in people, in conversations, in choices. And when something doesn't resonate, you can't fake it. That refusal to perform makes your aura unsettling to those who depend on masks to survive. You don't consume culture blindly, you filter it, you taste it, you ask if it nourishes your soul or simply distracts your mind. And if the answer doesn't serve you, you walk away quietly but with full conviction. That kind of presence, that kind of clarity has nothing to prove and everything to protect. So while others get caught in cycles of becoming whatever the world wants them to be this week, you remain rooted in who you are. You are not a reflection of the world. You are a reflection of something deeper. And that's what makes your energy unforgettable. Have you ever noticed how conversations fall flat around you when they lack substance? How shallow energy, fake smiles, or overused scripts lose their weight the moment you step into the room? That's not a coincidence. It's because your energy disrupts the superficial. There are people who live on the surface. They've mastered the art of being socially acceptable, of blending in, of performing. They know how to say the right things, dress the right way, and laugh at the right moments. It works, until they're around someone like you, because your aura isn't interested in surface games. It vibrates on a frequency that demands something real. When your energy is powerful, it doesn't tolerate performance. You don't chase popularity. You don't flatter for approval. You don't fake connection just to avoid discomfort. And when you show up with that level of honesty, it has an impact. Suddenly, the people around you feel like they have to choose, drop the act or leave the space. There's nothing aggressive about it. You're not confronting anyone directly. You don't have to. Your mere presence holds up a mirror, and that mirror exposes the masks others are wearing. When someone is used to living behind layers, being around a person who has none can feel like standing in front of emotional X-ray vision. They feel seen even when you're silent. They feel measured even when you say nothing. You're not trying to judge them, you're just being you, but you is raw, unfiltered, and awake. And that level of self-awareness challenges people who are used to hiding. It disrupts the patterns they've relied on. It reveals the emptiness behind their rehearsed behaviors, and that disruption isn't always welcome. In environments built on pretension, you become a shock to the system. You don't laugh when it's not funny. You don't nod when you don't agree. You don't pretend to care about things that don't touch your spirit. That integrity, that refusal to water yourself down, is rare. And anything rare always draws attention, sometimes admiration, sometimes resentment. People may try to label you as too intense or too serious, but what they really mean is you don't play by the rules of superficiality, you don't give energy to gossip, you don't entertain empty praise. You aren't impressed by showmanship, and that creates friction with those who rely on those very things to feel valuable. You've probably had moments when people feel strangely exposed around you. They start over-explaining themselves, shifting in their seat, or trying to dominate the conversation. That's not about ego, it's about their discomfort with your depth, because your energy doesn't entertain small talk for long. It leans toward authenticity, toward connection, toward truth. You bring gravity into the space, and gravity pulls things down from the surface to the core. That shift from surface to depth is not gentle for everyone. It can feel like a loss of control, like vulnerability being forced into the open. And yet, it's not something you do asterisk. It's something you are asterisk. Even those who reject your energy in the moment often find themselves thinking about you later. Because while the superficial is easy to forget, truth leaves an imprint. It lingers, it stirs, and whether they acknowledge it or not, your presence challenges people to question what they're really doing and why. In a world built on performance, authenticity is disruptive. It shakes the foundation, it demands clarity, it refuses to play along. Your energy doesn't just disturb the surface, it calls what's beneath it to rise or retreat. And that is what makes your aura so difficult for many to be around, but impossible to ignore. Have you ever walked away from an interaction knowing you were completely misunderstood, yet somehow deeply remembered? People couldn't explain what it was about you that unsettled them, intrigued them, or made them shift uncomfortably in their seat. That's the paradox of a powerful aura. You are often misunderstood, but never unnoticed. There's a certain weight that follows those who walk in their truth, a quiet intensity that speaks without speaking. You might not even be trying to stand out. In fact, you probably prefer peace over attention, solitude over spotlight. But despite your efforts to blend in, your energy announces you. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply makes itself known. People feel you before they understand you, and that's exactly why they struggle to define you. They try to place you into familiar boxes, quiet, confident, intense, strange, but none of them truly fit. Your energy stretches past categories. It holds contradictions, soft but firm, still but powerful, silent but undeniable. And people aren't used to that. They're used to reading personalities like headlines, but you're not a headline, you're a whole book, and not everyone wants to read past the cover. When someone encounters a presence that forces them to slow down, to feel, to reflect, they don't always welcome it. They may say you're cold when you're simply composed. They may call you arrogant when you're simply self-aware. They may interpret your boundaries as rejection, your silence as judgment, your focus as disinterest. But what they're reacting to isn't your intention, it's your energy. It's the way your presence pulls truth to the surface, even when you say nothing at all. There's something in you that reminds others of their own inner compass. Something that brings them face to face with the parts of themselves they've ignored. But most people aren't ready to meet themselves in that way, so they misread you, they project onto you. They call you what they need to in order to stay comfortable in their limited understanding. It's a lonely place sometimes, carrying a frequency that so few can hold, being misread in spaces where you came only to share peace, feeling the weight of attention you didn't ask for. But this is what happens when your energy doesn't blend. It alters asterisk. When it doesn't just take space, it shifts it. What you have cannot be faked, it cannot be borrowed, and it definitely cannot be understood through casual interaction. People would need to slow down, to drop their masks, to sit in stillness to really see you. And most are in too much of a rush to do that, so they settle for assumptions, and still, even in misunderstanding, they remember you. You've likely seen it happen. Someone meets you once, maybe briefly, yet they speak of you with an intensity reserved for old memories. That's not because you were loud or dramatic. It's because your energy stamped something on them. It left a mark. Because when someone with an authentic aura enters your life, even briefly, it creates a contrast. A comparison. It shows you what's real versus what's routine, and once someone feels that contrast, even if they can't name it, they don't forget it. You carry something that others can't place but can't dismiss. Something that disturbs the superficial, reveals the hidden, and challenges the artificial. You don't need to explain it, and you certainly don't need to dilute it, because the very thing that gets you misunderstood is also what makes your presence unforgettable. Some will misunderstand you, some will walk away, unsure why they feel shaken after standing near your energy. But those who are meant to meet you where you truly are will feel it in their bones. Your aura is not for everyone, and it was never meant to be. You weren't built to be easy to digest. You were built to awaken, to shift, to stir something ancient and raw in those who still remember what real feels like. So keep walking in your truth. Keep honoring your frequency, because your presence is not just powerful, it's necessary.